Throughout all this, we see some profound changes to the U.S. economy. Overall, our economic growth has slowed down, and foreign competitors are catching or passing American companies in many industries. One industry that really struggled was U.S. Steel. Not just the company, but the entire industry. American-made steel is passed by other companies. And as a result, U.S. steel companies are closing plants in the Northeast and throughout the Midwest. And people are left without a job. In the automobile industry, there are some major changes. Americans, with these gas shortages and higher gas prices, can no longer drive the great big Cadillacs and Oldsmobiles that we think of with the 1950s and 1960s. People need smaller, more fuel-efficient cars. So much so that by 1977, 20% of the cars on the road, 1 out of every 5 cars, is an import. And most of these are from Japan, because Japan was marketing cars like the Honda Civic. Look how small it is. And look how they highlight that fact. And if you can read that fine print, it talks a lot about the fuel efficiency of the Civic. So Detroit, the center of the American automobile industry, has to spend a lot of money retooling and changing their factories and changing their approach to car building and building these smaller, more fuel-efficient cars that Americans now need. Chrysler is hurt so bad by these changes that they need a federal bailout. Much like in recent history, Chrysler needed a loan from the federal government to stay in business. We also see some changes during the 1970s to labor unions. Industrial unions like the United Auto Workers are going to shrink in membership in the 1960s and then again in the 1970s. However, on the flip side, public workers' unions grow. Unions made up by people who are employed by some level of government increase in size and influence. This is a direct result of a few changes. First, as the baby boom generation continues to move through the educational system, we're going to need more teachers. The Great Society program creates a lot more federal government programs and workers to go along with them. And state and local government is growing as well. All of these changes mean that we need more public workers. More public workers means more people to join public workers unions. So much so that by 1990, the NEA, the National Education Association, that's the National Teachers Union Organization, is the largest union organization in the country. And this can be seen as a good thing because now there's more opportunity for union participation for women and African Americans than in those older unions. Despite some of the struggles of the economy in the 1970s, big corporations are going to do pretty well, especially multinational corporations, businesses that have headquarters in one country but operations in multiple countries, like IBM, are going to do very well. We're also going to see the emergence in the 1970s of conglomerates. These are companies that buy up a bunch of different businesses in different industries. One example is Gulf and Western, and they are the owners of Paramount Movies. But you may not know they also own a very large and substantial mortgage corporation. They also own a manufacturing corporation. So conglomerates like Gulf and Western and Transamerica are going to become an important part of the U.S. economy. High-tech industries prove to be the most profitable, and that is a direct result of this, the silicon microchip, which makes computers smaller and more accessible to Americans. Throughout the 1970s, starting in the 60s and into the 70s and 80s and 90s, we're going to see a lot of industry move from the East and the Midwest down to the Sun Belt for a variety of reasons. One, there are major universities down there, so you can find the skilled labor, you can find the engineers, you can find the business majors and the managers that you might need to run your businesses. There are also fewer unions. That means when you need unskilled labor, you can get it for cheaper in the South. Not to mention the warmer climate. If given a choice, people would prefer to live where it's warmer. This leads to high unemployment and an economic downturn in those areas where we used to see manufacturing and industry, like the Northeast and the Midwest. And so sometimes this area is called the Rust Belt due to the number of factories that are closing.